Chase at the 40. Look at that move. Look at Chase go. Oh, my goodness. What a gear.
He comes down to this in his car end zone. Intercepted.
McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
Cross here. Nixon's going to throw. Open man. Caught. Higgins. Touchdown.
Drives. Touchdown. Joe Burrow has his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Maan, how you doing, man? How's everything been going? Good week?
Yeah, it's been really good. It was a little exciting when news broke from training camp about somebody getting carted off. That sent some shockwaves in my household.
Yeah.
But
I think everywhere
yeah,
in
I
Bengal.
know. We were on our way to get away. Me and the wife were going to Ormond Beach for 3 or 4 days just to get away, a little mini vacation. And I was set to drive, and I looked at my phone, and my phone was blowing up about Joe Burrow. And I looked at her, and I gave her the keys. I said, "You got to drive," because I would have driven off the road. And so I spent the last hour and a half on our way to our destination. I'm on Twitter just refreshing. And it was just like any other Bengal fan. It was a lot of uneasiness there. But so far the news is good. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
We are, yeah. When the news broke, so they said, "Hey, did you hear about Joe Burrow?" So obviously, I'm thinking contract announced, but no. Obviously, very very scary moment. Looks like the Bengals and all of us, right? Everyone that follows this team with our heart and soul, looks like we truly dodged a catastrophe. You and I are going to talk about that here in a couple of minutes. But a lot has gone on, Mon. A lot has gone on this past week in Bengals news. We are going to try to cover it all. And you and I were kind of talking off air that I think you and I both feel that there's more news coming this week. You know, we had obviously the man Jeff Hobson on our show last week, and he even said he talked about all these Bengal contracts that have gotten done either right before training camp, right as training camp started, or right before the season kicks off. And we're in that range right now. We're in between the start of training camp, in between that first preseason game. So if news does break, Bengal Pulse fans, we are going to bring you that and talk about that later on this week. But tonight, Mon, let's talk about all the stuff that has happened this past week, and obviously we'll get to the Joe Burrow injury and how that has a trickle down effect for the rest of training camp. So real quick, Mon, obviously when training camp started, 3 guys went on PUP. Devin Cochran, offensive lineman, obviously Cheeto, and then obviously La'el Collins. Shortly after those 3 were put on PUP, it was either the day or the next day, Cheeto gets cleared, which again is huge news, right, for the Bengals. I think you're talking about one of the top corners in the league before he got hurt last year, and I think a guy that you and I thought might be pushing to make that his regular season debut week 1, and now it looks like all that's going to happen with Cheeto as he gets cleared. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute. And how that kind of trickles down to the rest of this defense. And then obviously later on, a little bit later on in the week, Mitchell Wilcox gets re-signed by the Bengals. So you add an addition to that tight end room. They did put him on PUP as well. And, we'll see when Mitchell Wilcox gets cleared and gets back into the fold. But he now has been added to that tight end room. Devin Cochran just as recently as these last 2 days. Devin Cochran now goes from PUP to injured reserve, and the Bengals sign Reed Sinnett, quarterback who played against the Bengals last year in the preseason, to kind of add to the quarterback room. Obviously, I think Bengal fans don't get crazy about this. He's not replacing Joe Burrow. He is a guy to come in, help run the offense, take some of the reps from the other guys, to not wear those guys out, and obviously play in the preseason as well. And then Drew Chrisman, the other punter in the room, has a medical emergency and has been in the hospital. It's a scary thing, but he has not really got a chance to jump into that punter's battle. But be interesting to see what happens with Drew Chrisman. Maan, what about these PUP guys and obviously the guys returning? What do you think about this? Is there going to be a trickle down, especially with the Cheeto?
No, I mean the Cheeto thing was good. I mean, we all expected PUP early on. Him coming off that quick is a good sign. I still think he's going to be on a pitch count. He's not going to. Yeah, they're going to ease him back in. I think week 3, 4, and 5. Ace brought up a good point today in Spaces that he doesn't expect Cheeto to be Cheeto until about that time, maybe week 4. He might play 18, 20 snaps a game early on. He just, ACL surgery. We got to ease him back. He's one of our key players. I'm glad that he's practicing right now. Mitch Wilcox, good signing. I liked what he did last year. Is he an elite level tight end? No, but he's a good player for us. He knows the offense. He can come in. And, he played a lot last year, and I thought he played well. He had that great touchdown against the Buccaneers late in that game. The quarterback you mentioned from Miami that played for the Dolphins last year, he's just an arm. Joe's going to be out. Joe will be out 2-3 weeks. They needed another arm in there. What would have concerned me, let's say the Bengals went out and targeted, let's say maybe a Teddy Bridgewater or somebody like that. To me, that would send a little bit of shockwaves. Like, hey, maybe they expect Joe to be out maybe
Right.
3-4 games. You
Right.
didn't see that. You saw a journeyman quarterback that's going to come in and just help pick up that workload in training camp. And, hey, I thought he looked good for the Dolphins last year against us. He threw a nice touchdown pass late in that game. I just want the Bengals to stay healthy. So far we had the unfortunate situation with Cochran, of course, with Joe Burrow. Basham was nicked up. We don't know what's going on with his injury. You mentioned Drew Chrisman. I don't know what happened there. That's a little alarming. I wish him the best. He tweeted a picture of himself in the hospital.
I saw that.
Prayers out to him. I don't know what's going on there. But, we're 6 weeks away from week 1 against the Browns. Let's not have any more injuries. Let's get through camp healthy.
Agreed. And let's talk about the other big news, because again, this Bengals team really bucking the trend of what we've seen in past history. First, obviously, Trey Hendrickson and Orlando Brown get into a skirmish to start off training camp. A lot of people are freaking out about. That's good stuff. Like, you need that. You need that competitiveness between two guys that are not only higher echelon players on your team, but in the NFL. I love that. Those two guys going after each other. You could see where somebody had grabbed Trey's jersey and kind of pressed up against his throat. Originally, it was that Orlando Brown clawed him with fingernails and stuff, but you could see kind of like the blood blister from the jersey. And then not too long after, Hendrickson re-signs a 1-year extension. And again, Mon, something the Bengals really are not known of doing. They go out and they extend Hendrickson for another year. So that's another name on that list of guys next year that we don't have to worry about. I love this move by the Bengals. I think it's not only do I love it, but it's very impressive, right? I mean, you see a lot of other teams doing this kind of stuff around the league. We as Bengals, not so much in history, but so far this year in the offseason, they have restructured a contract in Joe Mixon, and now one of their top free agents that was coming up next year now is extended for a year, and now him and Sam Hubbard are both Bengals through 2025. Maan, talk a little bit about this Hendrickson contract. The numbers are a little difficult. What exactly is going on with that? But what do you feel about this move? I mean, is this not a great move by the Bengals?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have one framed jersey at my house, and it's Trey Hendrickson. I'm glad he's going to be there for another year because I get to keep it up for another year. He signed a 4-year, $60 million contract a couple years ago. He still had 2 years remaining on that. I think it's safe to say that he's outperformed that contract, and I salute the Cincinnati Bengals. They gave him a raise. They signed him to a 1-year extension at $21 million, and they gave him an $8 million signing bonus. So, good for him. He's getting extra money up front, and the Bengals get to keep him for another year. Salaries are going to keep on expanding, and to get him for $21 million in 3 years, that's going to be a bargain, or in 2 years. So good job for the Bengals. They're rewarding one of their core players. And you know what this tells me? The Bengals are all in. They're going to do everything they can to keep their best players. They have a list who their best players are. We know Joe's on that list. We know Chase is on that list, and we know Higgins is on that list. Wilson also. Hendrickson is on that list, and they're doing everything they can to keep that core together. I'm hoping they can sign everybody I just named, including a guy named Reeder. But good signing for the Bengals, good for Hendrickson, and I'll say this: it's the Burrow effect. Also, he knows he's got a good thing going here. The things said, he knows that the Bengals are Lombardi trophies are coming, and he told his agent he wanted to stay here, and they made it work.
And again, you look at this. You look at these names, right? We've talked about on this show for months now. How are the Bengals going to do this? How are they going to keep the majority of this squad together? And so far, so good, right? I mean, they basically restructured Joe Mixon's contract to make sure he's going to be a Bengal for the next couple years. Now they have extended Hendrickson to make sure he's going to be a Bengal for the next couple years. I think the Joe Burrow signing is right around the corner. I think the T. Higgins signing is also going to be right around the corner. And again, like you said, the Bengals doing things that, man, we're just not used to them doing because they know that this team has a chance to win multiple Lombardi trophies. And this is the time right now. This is the time to get all of the upfront stuff done, right? All these signings, everything, get it done now. So we're not rolling into next year talking about the same situation that we had to talk about this year with Von Bell and Jesse Bates. I'm with you. I applaud this team and this organization. And who would have thought, Mom, we were talking about all these contracts out there. Who would have thought Joe Mixon and Trey Hendrickson would be the first two that we're talking about? I mean, I would love to see somebody's Bengal contract bingo sheet and see if anyone has anything close to bingo yet. Because, I mean, just out of the blue, this team is working these deals. And, again, maybe another domino leading up to this Joe Burrow contract that we're about to see.
Yeah, I tweeted something tonight. I have a gut feeling something big's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow being Monday. I just have I have a feeling something big's going to happen. I think some more pieces are going to fall, and the Bengals are going to lock up a lot of their core players. The Joe Mixon thing, you just mentioned Joe. He gets it. He understands his best chance of winning a Super Bowl is to stay in Cincinnati. The running back market, we know what's happening with Indianapolis Colts and their owner and their running back. They're bickering back and forth. Joe Mixon did the right thing. If he decided to leave Cincinnati, he wasn't going to make what he's making now. Cincinnati is very fair to him, and that's just the state of the NFL right now. The running back market, pay wise, is it's just the money's not there for him, and maybe it comes back down the road. But right now, everybody's paying their quarterbacks and their tackles and their cornerbacks. That's where the money's going, and wide receivers. So it's a cyclical thing, and it'll probably switch around down the road. But right now, if you're a running back, you're going to get paid well, but you're going to be one of the lower paid positions in the NFL right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about the one thing that everybody's talking about. Something, we have to talk about it because it is big news. But Joe Burrow, after a day after talking about how important it is that he has a regular offseason, once again is thrown a curveball here. And it looks like, it looked to me that, he had a sleeve on that calf going into practice. Coach Taylor talked about calf soreness the day before. Yes, right there with you.
I got one.
But, so Joe Burrow's, a lot of people are like, well, why is Joe Burrow out there doing stuff if he has calf soreness? Guys, these are professional football players. Joe Burrow is a competitor. Let's not get all caught up in why was Joe Burrow practicing? Although now I think we can all say, it's safe to say, let's let Joe just stand on the sideline and let these other guys get some reps. But, we see Joe kind of, he rolls out of the pocket and is moving through the pocket and gets outside the pocket, comes up a little bit lame. Those non-contact injuries, Maan, always a scary, scary thing. But again, like we talked about, we definitely dodged a catastrophic event in Joe Burrow with a calf strain. Coach Taylor says it's going to be several weeks, which is perfectly fine with me. Like you said, we got 6 weeks until opening kickoff. So let's let Joe sit for 5 of those weeks and just relax a little bit, Mom. What do you think?
Yeah, you don't want any injuries in camp, but I guess if you're going to have an injury like this, let's have it early on, where you have multiple weeks before kickoff. Watching the video, it did alarm me a little bit. Everybody became a doctor on Twitter. Everybody's trying to analyze things. That's just the nature of it. I was taken aback. Like I said, I was set to drive about an hour away to our little vacation. I told my wife, I gave her the keys. I said, I can't drive because I'll wreck. And I was just seeing him grab his calf, move his ankle. That made me feel a little better because I was worried of a potential Achilles issue. But yeah, wearing a sleeve, obviously he tweaked it the day before. He had some soreness there. This is not a catastrophic injury. He's going to be fine. Is there a chance that he could re-aggravate it and hinder him a little bit? Maybe. Hubbard had this injury last year. He's going to be fine. He'll be ready week 1. And you know what? Do I want Joe Burrow to practice and get sets and reps during camp? Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't want him hitting games. I know I sound like a fence rider, but I have no problem with him standing on the sideline. Because does Joe Burrow really need that? I mean, look what happened last year. The guy lost 20 pounds from that appendectomy. He looked a little rough against the Steelers. Guess what? The second half of that Steeler game, he looked like Joe Burrow. He threw for 350, and so he'll be fine. And I like what Zach Taylor said that Joe got a lot of reps in camp or in the OTAs in July. So he did
OTAs.
OTA. So he got a lot of work then, and he's going to be fine. We dodged a bullet. I'm glad he's healthy, and let's just not have any other injuries in camp. This is enough. This is enough.
Well, and let's talk about Joe Burrow's history, right? I mean, everybody talks about, does Joe Burrow need these reps? Let's look at Joe Burrow. Year 1, COVID. Year 2, coming off an ACL. Year 3, appendectomy. Year 4, calf strain. This guy has not had a complete offseason, Maan, and he's still arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. So I think we're okay, Bengal fans. I don't think it's time for anybody to be stressed over if Joe Burrow is taking reps or not. I don't think I think that's the least of our worries. I think Joe would probably speak differently because he is a competitor and you love that. You love to have that in your quarterback. I mean, it's it's why Joe is who he is. I mean, that's what makes him so great. Yeah, I'm good with him just staying on the sidelines and getting a lot of, we call it mental reps as a coach, but let's let him get a lot of mental reps. Because I know, just like you, myself, and everyone else that bleeds orange and black, that was a very scary moment. One that I don't want to go back to that and relive that ever again. And let's talk about Maan too, because you know, and Coach Taylor talked about it, but when something like that happens, and obviously it's not a catastrophic thing, like you said, he'll be back in a couple weeks, but your other quarterbacks get a lot of reps, and those guys need reps, right? I mean, they need reps, and because you never know when you're gonna have to call on them, and they look good, Mon. Both of them have looked really well these last couple of days that Joe hasn't been there. Both of them throwing the ball really well. It's both of them, the ball is spinning out of their hand. They're very accurate. They've thrown catchable balls. We saw some of these guys making. I mean, I don't know if you saw. Did you see Irv Smith's catch today?
Yeah, that was nice.
I mean, oh, that's incredible. And Tyler Boyd in the corner of the end zone, and Jamar Chase. I mean, listen, these two quarterbacks, they need the reps. This is the time to get the reps. They're not going to get a ton of reps in the regular season anyway. So let these guys get the reps. And like I said, they have looked pretty good. Both of them have looked. But you and I are a big Jake the Snake Browning fan. We wanted him as the backup last year. He's looked really good, Mon. Let's talk a little bit too about these rookies, because again, Cheeto is working his way back to practice, but man, oh man, DJ Turner looks like the real deal. And even Jamar Chase had something to say about that. Him and Cam Taylor-Britt both getting a lot of hype. And then obviously even Ivy, the kid from Miami, is looking really good as well. So, these rookies, this rookie class, you and I talked about it, it might be one of the deepest rookie classes the Bengals have had. And that's saying a lot, because these last couple drafts have been home runs. So what do you think? What do you think about how these rookies have looked so far in camp, and the two quarterbacks?
But concerning the quarterbacks, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago when they signed Trevor Siemian. Obviously, you never want Joe Burrow to go down. He is the team. But if he gets nicked up one or two games, he might not be able to play. Siemian started over 30 games in the NFL. I feel much more comfortable having him, or even a Jake Browning, come in, because I was never a Brandon Allen guy. I really wasn't. He had that one good game against the Texans. He was just inconsistent to me. The Bengals upgraded dramatically with Siemian. And as you said a few minutes ago, Jake Browning is a gunslinger. He looked really good in preseason last year. I understand against backups, but there's something about him. I loved him coming out of college at Washington. He was a really solid player there. And it's going to be interesting who winds up number two. I think it's going to be Siemian, because he has all those NFL starts. Yeah. Concerning the rookies, yes, if you spend time in Twitter Spaces, you'll hear a lot of the Spaces representatives. They went to the practice and they're actually given play-by-play of what's happening. And then it was pretty comical, because they're getting all excited. But DJ Ivy was a star yesterday. Had 2 pass interceptions, 2 interceptions, 2 pass breakups. And he's really making a name for himself. He's 6'1", about almost 200 pounds, really long arms. Dave Lapham was talking about him in one of his podcasts about 2 weeks ago, about how athletic he is and how long his arms are. And he's somebody that could potentially stick on the roster. People were talking practice squad. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it. I saw a couple videos where Alan George, friend of the show, made some really good plays also. So yes, the Bengals have a lot of young up-and-coming players in that defensive backfield. Lou Anarumo and that defensive coaching staff, they know how to develop defensive backs. I think we're going to be fine there. I love our friend Eric was up there. He was sending us videos yesterday. The wide receivers were just going off, making unbelievable catches. Higgins, Chase. You mentioned Irv Smith. Irv Smith is a different tight end. he's nothing like the Bengals have had. He's about 240 pounds. To me, he just looks like a really big wide receiver. And if he stays healthy, I think
Yeah, he
he's going to
does.
be special. Yeah, he's going to be special. These first 4 practices have been great. They had the day off today. Let's just keep on seeing how these young guys develop. I'm really intrigued by Ivy Turner, as you mentioned, second round pick. He was the fastest player at the combine, and he's been making plays practice after practice. He's going to have to play a big part because, as you know, Eli Apple is not coming back, and
Yeah.
these rookies are going to be playing a lot for the Cincinnati Bengals.
How funny, Eli Apple now teammates with the mouth of the South. Uh, Going to be very interesting dynamic in that locker room after all the trash talking, and now Eli Apple, a Miami Dolphin. Going to be interesting. Going to be really interesting. But again, you and I both with Eli Apple, I think he did get a bad rap, but man, oh man, the way Cam Taylor-Britt's looked and Turner's looked, like you said, man, this is a young defensive backfield, but they are athletic and they are very, very good at the point of the ball, Mon. They're very competitive when the ball is in the air, and that's what you want to see from those guys. So, going to be very exciting. Again, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of the preseason, and I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of it, but when you got a young team with a lot of rookies that are fighting for positions, it makes it fun. And you talked about it. This defensive backfield with our guy Alan George making plays all over the place as well. This is going to be a fun battle these next couple weeks and into the preseason.
It is, and I was listening to local Cincinnati radio today, and they brought up a really good point. Zach Taylor does protect his vets. He wants them fresh for the regular season, and I respect that. What is he going to do at safety? Because Dax and Nick Scott and Jordan Battle, they haven't played together. Nick Scott has started some games, but still, he's trying to figure out that position. Those guys need those sets and reps. I mean, I can see that spot where he's going to have to play them. He's going to have to play them maybe 10, 15 snaps a game to get acclimated a little bit. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes, because I think when it comes to the other starters, I think he's going to protect them. I think they'll be very, very limited in the preseason. But that's going to be something to see over the next few weeks, to see how much Dax Hill and Nick Scott and Jordan Battle being a rookie, will be playing a lot. But Dax Hill and Nick Scott are penciled in as the starters. How much time are they going to get during the preseason? I think they'll get a handful of snaps. I think it'd be wise for them to get that.
I agree. So we had a couple more things announced. Obviously, everybody now wants to know, when is the whiteout game? They announced it. It is going to be the same night as the Ring of Honor. So the night that Boomer and Chad Ochocinco go into that Ring of Honor, we have the whiteout. So I'm very excited about that. I wasn't able to go to the game last year, the whiteout. So I'm excited to be able to go to that Rams game, that Monday Night Football game. Going to be an incredible night in Paycor Stadium. And again, we are seeing this Bengals organization just doing things the right way, right? I mean, it's just, I really don't think we talk about it enough. I know we have on the past on this show, but it's just really, it's just different, right? And we talk about the Joe Burrow effect, and we talk about all these other things, but I think hats off to this organization. I think we have to give credit where credit is due as well. And I don't think a lot of people ever thought it was going to happen, but even the welcome back day, I mean, like you said, our friend Eric, unfortunately you and I didn't get to go, but our friend Eric was sending videos, and even the players were talking about it in the locker room afterwards, how incredible the turnout was, and how we are the best fans in the NFL. And I don't know, man, it's just this team this year, it's a different feel, man. I feel very hard pressed to be overly optimistic, but I don't know, man. I feel good. I feel good.
I was thinking today, Jake, about how winning cures everything.
It does.
You remember 2 years before Burrow showed up. I mean, week 15, week 16, there was 20,000 people showing up to Paul Brown
Yeah.
Stadium at the time, and it was just a fan apathy. It was just people love the Bengals, but they're like, I'm just not going to go to the game. I just watch it at home. And what has changed? They've spent a lot of money on free agents. Guess what? They got that money back because they got a waiting list now for season tickets. They're
Oh
selling
yeah.
shirts. There's
Oh
just so
yeah.
much corporate sponsors, and it's just amazing what winning will do. And we're going to keep on winning for years. I just can't wait for the future because it's
And
going to be special.
and if Adam Schefter is correct, Mon, we will have the highest paid NFL player in the league. I think we could. Adam Schefter is a guy who, he's an insider for sure, and he says it, and I would have to agree. I mean that, we didn't really talk about it yet tonight, but Justin Herbert signing his contract might have been that last piece of the domino, because some people said the Bengals were kind of waiting to see what that Justin Herbert contract was going to look like. I don't know. I feel like Joe Burrow's was already in the works. I feel like it was already done for the most part. But if Adam Schefter's right, Mon, not only are all these great things we're talking about, but the Bengals might just have the highest paid player in NFL history.
I think they will, Jake. They're going to have agent talk, and the way they're structured is going to be the big thing. But Joe Burrow is going to make more a year than Justin Herbert. He's going to make 54, 55, maybe $56 million a year. Of course, agents will compete against each other and say, "Well, my guy got 150 guaranteed. What did Joe get?" The Bengals, Joe Burrow is going to make a lot of money, and Joe Burrow will see every penny of that contract. 5, 6, 7 years, he'll
Oh yeah.
see every penny of it, and he
Oh
is
yeah.
going to be the highest paid quarterback in football, highest paid player in the NFL, and it shouldn't be a surprise for all these people that love to come and spam and troll the Bengals. Boomer was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and so was Carson Palmer at one time. So
Yep.
this isn't something new. Mike Brown always pays quarterbacks and wide receivers. He never has
Always.
any problem paying. That's the two
Always.
positions the Cincinnati Bengals always give out money to and give out a lot of it.
Always, Mon. Always. And don't forget defensive line as well. I mean, really after the Justin Smith situation, the Bengals have always paid defensive linemen. I feel like obviously the Justin Smith thing didn't work out, but I feel like since the Justin Smith situation, think about it. Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins. I mean, the Bengals have paid now Trey Hendrickson, extended Sam Hubbard. DJ Reader's coming. I'm telling you right now, DJ Reader is going to be one of the guys next off the list. So throw defensive linemen in there with the wide receivers and quarterbacks. But you're right. People seem to forget that when they talk about the Bengals being cheap. This team has made players the highest paid at their position multiple times.
Yeah, they gave Andy Dalton $100 million contract.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
they the narrative that the Bengals are cheap. It's lazy. At one time, I guess you could have given them that in that lost decade, but the last 20 years, the Bengals pay their players. Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, every guy you just mentioned, they've been paid very well. AJ Green, all their stars, and trust me, the Bengals are going to do everything in their power to keep their core players. Are we going to lose some? Absolutely. There is no way we can sign them all. It just can't be done. And that's a good problem to have. That means the Bengals are acquiring, drafting good, talented players. And if you end up losing some, that shows you, hey, the Bengals have this system. They're getting their guys in. You just can't keep them all. You can't. We saw that with Jesse Bates.
No, absolutely. All right, Mom. Well, we hopefully we do hear some good news here in the next day or two. If we do, Bengal Pulse fans, we will be right back with you to report that and to talk it up with you, hopefully about some extensions coming up this week. But that's another edition of the Bengals Pulse. As always, guys, follow us on all those awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. If you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And as always, please give Maan and I that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. Follow Maan at the Fire Maan. Follow me at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow the Bengals Pulse at Bengals_Pulse9 on Instagram. The same Bengals_Pulse9. And as always, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. Mom, before we get out of here, how about our first place Reds, baby? How about taking 2 out of 3 against the LA Dodgers? LA, a team on that has $150 million higher budget than we do, and we go in there and spank them, Maan. We spank them. God, this Reds team is fun to watch.
I love it. It was a great game today. They won 9-0. They should have won last night. They 2-hit the Dodgers, and they still lost. It's just they had the bases loaded in the 6th, and they couldn't.
I know. The 2 hits were home runs.
Look, they're great. Nick Krall has got to make a move. We got to get another starter, maybe another reliever. We have the hitters in place. Listen, the Reds can seriously they could make a run here. They really could if they get a good starting pitcher. Verlander, if he comes in, if they can make that happen, wow, he won his 250th game today for the Mets. The Reds have been linked to him. That's something to monitor. And Kate Upton's from Melbourne. His girlfriend, his wife, that's his wife. Yes. That's in our county, Brevard County, guys. So that's why I said that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see them play. It was a great game today. Joey Votto had 3 RBIs. He needs to get out of that funk a little bit. I think he's only like 7 of his last 53. But listen, once Joey Votto gets back,
he should have had 2 home runs today.
Maan. I know.
That was an incredible catch. That was a great
play. That was a great play by that defender for the Dodgers. I just love seeing the big market teams in baseball lose, because baseball, if some owners in baseball had their way, Jake, you'd have 5 teams in Los Angeles, you'd have 5 teams in Chicago, 5 teams in Boston,
New York.
Yeah, in New York, they would just say screw the little small markets. But
yeah,
luckily the NFL is not that way. But no, the Reds, I think they're going to make a move, and look out. Look out. City of Champions. Still there, Jake? You locked up. All right, guys, listen. You locked up for a second there. I was about to send this off.
Are we good? We good? Hey, listen.
Yeah.
Hey, it's July 30th, Mom. We're in first place. July 30th, first place. This is the year of the Natty, baby. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo day, Bengal fans. Hopefully, we'll see you here in a couple days.
See you guys.